Hello friends, I am Dr. Suchita Vishwakarma, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, School of Management Sciences, Lucknow, and welcome all of you to this series of lectures on supply chain and logistics management. Today we are going to discuss a topic which is basically IT infrastructure used for supply chain and CRM. In all our previous classes, we have discussed in detail about supply chain, and we had also discussed about the concepts of CRM, that is customer relationship management. In the previous classes, we had understood that supply chain and customer relationship management both are quite a complex process, and which includes lots of activities and lots of involvement of lots of people, and that makes it very dynamic also, because the external environment is very dynamic. The customers have a very dynamic changes in terms of their taste preferences, and they very easily switch from one product to another. So, in order to have a track of all this, in order to smoothen up the process of supply chain, a lot of IT technologies are used these days, because earlier it used to become a very problematic issue, that how to manage the different activities, how to know that what is how and when the activities are starting up and when they are finishing up, and to understand their feasibility and practicality and everything. So, for this purpose, IT computer systems have proven to be a very boon in this aspect, and has helped the complete supply chain and customer relationship management to run it very efficiently. So, today this is what we are going to understand in this particular lecture of ours, and I have divided this lecture into two parts, so that we can understand all the intricate aspects in quite a detail. So, let us get started with the part 1 of IT infrastructure. Now, let us have a quick introduction of what is supply chain IT and why it is required. So, supply chain information technology, which we usually also call as SCIT, is a key enabler of effective supply chain activity. That means, this information technology helps in smooth running of the various activities of supply chain. In 2013, approximately $300 billion was spent on supply chain IT by firms globally, which increased to 1.8 and 3.8 in comparison to in the year 2012 and 2011 respectively. So, this shows that how companies are now so much into IT, into use of IT technology into supply chain, and how much they are realizing the importance and how well this has merged into the supply chain process, so as to improve the productivity and the efficiency of the organizations. So, IT that means information technology facilitates the flow of information and firms across the firms with supply chain partners by enabling them better coordination, establishing information sharing and integration process. That means, through the use of information technology, the companies are now able to collaborate with each other. They are able to better coordinate with each other in terms of the activities, resources that are being shared, the informations that need to be shared on a real time basis, so that all the organizations can work towards achievement of one objective, that is reduction of cost and improvement of efficiency of the complete supply chain process. So, let us also understand the role of IT in supply chain. IT helps in application of application integration. So, what do we mean by application integration? It is basically a concept or a process, as you can say, where the companies try to link the various activities or the application of various activities on one forum. See, over here you may understand it. For example, that means, for example, if there is an organization who is doing transportation and is having certain software or certain other tracking system or certain other recording system for the transportation, that means the mode of transportation, the day it was the day particular transportation mode was shipped, and then the day when it was received. So, there can be one system, one manual or IT enabled system for tracking of the transportation system. Now, there can with the same form there can be another system, another recording method for inventories, that what is the amount of inventory that has come to, or what is the amount of production that they have done. So, now if the company wants to integrate these two systems, so that they know that when the production has happened and the same day the shipment should take place. So, in that case they will be required to connect these two systems together, and that is what is called application integration. So, this is very easy, and this can be very effectively done through the use of information technology. The second is data compatibility. Every organization has keeps lot of data with themselves, data in terms of the inventories, the suppliers, the customers and everything, and for each and every activity they require this data, but the data that they require may have to be shaped into different manner, so as to get some logical patterns to understand that how meaningful that particular data can be for the company or for the manager to take a proper decision. So, this also IT also helps the organizations in data compatibility in terms of it allows the organization to store lot of data and to retrieve the data as and when required in whatever form, that means in the most beneficial and logical form. Then analytical ability. Yes, this is also something very now has become very convenient and easy for the organization in a very cost effective manner, because as I said that most of the organizations store lot of data. So, now the organizations also try to interpret this data to understand the pattern that they are having in their past, or maybe through which they can do the forecasting and will be able to provide a better supply chain to their customers. For example, if the company may also like to understand that in the past 1 year what is the trend, what has been the trend of customer purchase, or they would also like to know that what were the different modes of transportation that they have used, and what was the total cost and what was the efficiency of that. So, the organization will be able to not only store the data, but also will be able to analyze by the use of information technology now. The next importance of IT is evaluation and alertness ability. Obviously, since I mean traditionally human beings were the ones who were managing up the complete show of supply chain, but obviously human beings are people are creatures who need rest, who need certain time for refreshing themselves and may go on breaks, intermittent breaks. So, a prominence of human beings is not to that extent in which the IT technologies can play a role. So, information technology not only helps to track and monitor the work on a regular basis without any breaks, but also helps to provide us alertness and promptness of monitoring the things and helping us evaluate, because obviously human minds have certain restrictions. They cannot evaluate very big numeric datas instantly. So, IT information technology helps us do that also. Then the next role of IT is that it helps in sharing of information in a very cost effective manner. Earlier I mean in traditional times it used to be very difficult and very expensive to contact people at distant places and to coordinate and establish coordination between all of them. But now with information technology coming in the scene, the information sharing has become very easy, and not only easy, it has become very quick also, and people can share the information at a real time basis, which will help the organization take instant decision and will obviously help the organization in increasing the efficiency of supply chain as well. Then taking quick responses. Since we discussed that IT enables organization to share information on a real time basis. So, in case of any special condition or any stringent condition, the company will be able to take quick responses depending on the any problematic area or challenges that they are facing, since they would be able to receive all kind of informations at that particular time. And then obviously it helps in helps in gaining competitive advantage only also, because because IT technology will help the organization to share the information in a cost effective manner, will also help the organization do the work very in an efficient manner, and so both of them together will lead to competitive advantage if done in a regular and continued manner. So, we can see that these roles can be observed within 3 loci of utilization, that is upstream, downstream and upstream and downstream. That means the the role of IT should not be only one sided, that is from manufacturer to customer end, or neither should it be from only supplier to manufacturer end. It should be upstream and downstream, both the sides. That means the organizations should implement the IT enabled systems in the complete supply chain rather than only the forward or the backward side of the supply chain. Now, let us understand more about what actually IT means in case of supply chain management. So, when we are talking about the information technology in case of supply chain, we are actually talking about two things, that is software systems and network infrastructure. Software systems is a system of interconnecting components based on software forming part of computer system, which is a combination of hardware and software. So, software system is basically an application where an organization can use for doing various kinds of activities, which will help the organization perform various kinds of activity, and it is basically a component, a software component of the complete IT solutions, while the network infrastructure is the hardware and software of an entire network that enables the networking connectivity, communication, operation and management of enterprise network. It also provides the communication path and service between the various people, that means the users, process, applications, services, external networks and internet. So, network infrastructure is basically combination of physical entities, physical structures, physical things, plus the softwares that are required and this network infrastructure helps people connect, that means various people get connected with within one frame, and these people will be able to share information, communicate with each other and will be able to do multiple activities simultaneously, being stick together in the same system. So, this is these are the two kind of things that basically play a role in supply chain management. So, we will be discussing all these different types of software systems and network infrastructures in our topic of today, that is IT for supply chain management. And as I said that I have broken down this particular all these topics into two parts. So, we will be discussing few things in the first part and then few of the things in the second part. So, let us get started with the first concept, that is EDI. So, basically as you can see, EDI is the electronic data interchange, and electronic data interchange basically is a concept where the companies focus on exchanging the information through the use of electronic mode. That means, as you can see earlier, what used to happen in the manual process when the organizations were adopting the manual process, say for example, the company had buyers who had generated purchase order, and there were buyers who had again entered invoices into internal system for processing. So, this used to happen, the purchase orders used to be received by the organization in the form of mails or faxes, or it could have also gone in a personal format. That means, any person who would have done a purchase would have sent someone and then to the company with the purchase order or with the receipt of the purchase order, and then the processing used to be done, and then supplier used to enter the orders into internal system and print an invoice and then carry it forward for either production or for transportation. So, over here you can see that once the buyer has generated the purchase order and then he is mailing it, faxing it or sending it in person to the supplier, this would take a lot of time, because there may be situations that the supplier has not checked the mail, not checked the fax, or the person who has come in has taken some time obviously. So, this used to be this used to result into delay of the production process or the transportation process. But now with the coming of the concept of EDI, that means with the coming of role of IT technology in the supply chain, this process has fastened up and has got also very smooth. So, now what happens, since the buyer has an internal system, once he puts a purchase order, it automatically goes into the system, the supplier's internal system. Invoice is generated instantly, and which goes to the buyer internal system, and the information of the purchase goes directly to the supplier, and there is no delay in production or transportation, because he instantly receives it, and there are automated systems which automatically converts the information into the processing part. So, this complete delay has now been eliminated, and this has become very smooth. So, let us understand more about it. So, EDI involves the swapping of business documents in a standard format from computer to computer. Now, the information is being sent directly from computer to computer. It presents the capability as well as the practice of exchanging information between two companies electronically rather than traditional form of mail, courier or fax. The application of EDI supply chain partners can overcome the deformity and falsehood in supply demand information by remodeling technologies to support real time sharing of actual data and supply information. So, now what happens that once the purchase order has been made by the customer, the buyer, it will instantly go to the supplier, and there will be no projection or ripple effect of the purchase order, and so the supplier will exactly know what is the quantity of the demand, and so that will not lead into anything like bullwhip effect that we had discussed earlier. It will not even lead to situations like out of stock situations. So, this EDI helps in removal of various other challenges which we had discussed earlier also. So, the advantages of EDI includes that instant processing of information, improved customer services, limited paperwork, high productivity, advanced tracking and expediting, cost efficiency, competitive benefits and advanced billing. That means, as you can see that overall all the processes get automated and leads into lesser documentation, lesser paperwork, and leads to higher productivity as well. Now, coming to the second system of IT that is being very much into use nowadays in supply chain, that is material requirement planning, which we also call as MRP1. So, it is basically a computer based inventory management system designed to improve productivity for business. Company use material requirement system to estimate the quantities of raw material and schedule their deliveries. That means, when the companies want to understand that what is the amount of or the quantity of the raw material that they want, and when shall they schedule their orders, so that they get it very so that they get it regularly also, and do not have to wait or have a long lead time also, and they do not have to wait, and there is no out of stock situations also. So, this is one tool which is used. The first MRP which helps in inventory management was evolved in 1940s, and which was further modified in 1950s. This helps the manufacturer respond more quickly to increased demand for their products and avoid production delays. As I said, that the company will be able to know that how much they have to order, and what should be the lot size, and what should be the frequency, and schedule the complete order. So, there will be no production delays and inventory stock out situations also, and this will obviously result that the customer will not get lost, and will be able to the company will be able to increase their profits and their revenue as well. So, over here you can see that the material requirement planning is basically all about planning that what are the different kind of materials that the company would is going to want to have for their production process, then what are the different kind of inventories, and then how reporting should be done, because if once the company has ordered, they needs to keep a track on all the kind of inventories, all the amount, quality, quantity and everything, every aspect of the inventory they need to record, so that they can use it for further in future as well. Then obviously they are required to make a purchase order and and they also need to have a work order. That means once the inventory has been received, they need to again record that how much they have sent it for the processing part. So, material requirement planning basically combines all these components, as has all these components, and takes it and that is how it helps the organization. So, the benefits of MRP1 is that it has reduced the customer lead time to improve customer satisfaction, reduced inventory cost as well, because there will be no requirement of keeping extra buffer stock. So, the inventory cost will also get reduced. Effective inventory management and optimization by acquiring or manufacturing the optimal amount of type of inventory. Companies can minimize the risk also of stock out situations and their negative impact on customer satisfaction, sales and revenue without spending more or necessary on inventory. That means, the company is actually not required to spend on inventory, but just need to keep a track on that how the inventory has to be managed and when it has to be ordered, or rather how much it has to be ordered. Then the next benefit of MRP is that it helps improve the manufacturing efficiency, because there will be no delay time. The company the manufacturing or the assembly line will receive the required amount of inventories at the particular moments that they are requiring. So, there will be improved manufacturing efficiency as well. Then improved labor productivity, obviously the people will also not sit idle and the productivity will get increased, and competitive product pricing. Since everything is in place, so the company will also be very competitive in its features and the pricing as well. Now, talking about MRP2. MRP2 is basically a concept which is manufacturing requirement planning. That means, earlier in MRP1 we talked about material requirement planning. This is MRP2 is manufacturing requirement planning. That means, the organization, once they have received the material, they also need to understand that what are the different things, what are the different activities when in the process of manufacturing, that means related to the assembly line. So, they also need to understand that how scheduling, how proper planning of manufacturing or assembly line has to be done, and in this particular aspect MRP2 is of great help. So, MRP2 is a computer based system that can create detailed production schedules using real time data to coordinate the arrival of component material with machine and labor availability. MRP2 is used widely by itself, but it is also used as a module of more extensive enterprise resource planning. MRP2 is extension of original material requirement planning. Earlier, the concept of MRP1 was only originated, but later on it extended to MRP2, because the companies realized that they also need certain assistance and help where they can do the complete production schedules. They should be able to understand that at what time which particular machinery has to be taken into consideration, which machinery would require how much amount of how much quantity of inventory and what type of quantity. So, complete proper planning has to be done for the assembly line also, and this basically helps in get eased by MRP, by the use of MRP2. So, the benefits of MRP2 includes that it helps for the inventory management, it helps in better control of inventories, improved scheduling, every planning is done by MRP2, productive relationship with suppliers, because obviously suppliers also get to know that how much the organization is going to require and what is the kind of production schedule that they have. For designing and engineering also, MRP2 has a lot of help in terms of improved design control, better quality and quantity control. And for financing and costing also, MRP2 helps in reducing the work capital for inventory, improve cash flow through higher deliveries and accuracy inventory records. So, over here you can see that MRP2 is basically again easing up the complete process and is helping the company to reduce on the requirement of money by not ordering anything in buffer, by utilizing the amount of inventories that are required at a particular moment only. Let us also understand the differences between MRP1 and MRP2. So, MRP1 basically includes three functionalities, that is master production scheduling, bill of material and inventory tracking, while MRP2 talks about machine capacity scheduling, demand forecasting, quality assurance and general accounting. Now, moving ahead to ERP. ERP is basically a is a combined integrated system where where it involves lot of a combination of lot of activities. For example, the purchasing, customer web portal, CRM, distribution, time management, dashboard, finance and manufacturing. So, ERP is basically enterprise resource planning, which includes the collaboration or connectivity of lot of activities, or rather all the activities that an organization conducts in the process of supply chain. So, ERP basically as we said that it is basically enterprise resource planning and is basically a software which helps in the complete supply chain process, and it can be used to automate and simplify individual activities across the business such as accounting, procurement and all that we had discussed. Individual ERP applications offer softwares as SaaS, while a complete suite of ERP applications performs ERP systems that can be used for effective communication and bring together lot of activities and applications. It helps, the ERP also helps in integrating lot of applications, through which it becomes very easy for the organization to establish control and coordination between all the activities. So, ERP system typically covers all aspects of business operations, which includes an integrated system, common database, real time operations, support for all applications and components, common user interface across applications and components, on premise, cloud hosted and SaaS development. Now, we should at this point it is also important for us to understand that what are the different kinds of industries that usually use ERP. So, there is no limit to it. ERP is used, can be used by all kind of organizations. I have named a few, which includes manufacturing, industrial, constructions, electronics, automotives, aerospace and defense, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, food and beverage, health care and hospitality, clothing, consumers and everything. So, you can see that there is no limitation, no boundaries for ERP, because this is a very effective tool which is nowadays adopted by most of the organizations. The benefits of ERP includes the cost saving and improved return on investment efficiency, improved business insight, manage regulatory compliance, mitigate and reduce risk, enhance collaboration, scalability and optimize customer and partner management. So, as I said that ERP is basically a complete integrated system. So, it basically helps in complete coordination between and collaboration between all the different departments and activities, and not only helps in increasing the decreasing the cost, but also helps in increasing the return on investment, because the company will be able to very optimally utilize all its resources towards the working or other achievement of its organization's objectives. It also helps in ERP will also help in proper monitoring and tracking of the customers' needs and preferences, and will also lead to better customer satisfaction as well. Now, coming to supply chain management system, this is also one of the tools where this is again one of the tools which works in coordination and is a complete integrative model, where it helps in planning, vendor selection, manufacturing, logistics and customer relationships. As you can see from this diagram, it involves the combination or collaboration of all the activities, starting from the supplier, payment, raw material receipts, customers and everything. And there are two types of supply chain management, SCP and SCE. SCP basically is a mathematical tool, and SCE is basically automated process for purchasing, vendor and managing the inventories. So, for detailed information you may go to these references and have a look on it. Thank you.